Hi everybody, this morning we're going to review the documentary The History of the Eagles, which is basically the Eagles story told from the perspective of the Eagles. Don Henley, Glenn Fry, Randy Meisner, Bernie Leadon, or Ledden, Timothy B. Schmidt, and Joe Walsh. The documentary was released on DVD and Blu-ray on in 2013. Like I said, this is basically the Eagles story told from the Eagles' perspective, and I believe it was directed by Allison Eastwood, who I believe is related to Clint Eastwood in some fashion, but don't quote me on that. The documentary itself starts from the Eagles' early years in the early 70s as Linda Ronstadt's backup band all the way up to 2012, right before Glenn passed away in 2016. Now, I really liked it. Really liked this documentary because interlaced with the interviews is a concert, is a show from the Hotel California tour, and it kind of helps tell the story, by song. The show itself was filmed in 1976 at the Capitol Theater in Washington, D.C., and we'll get to that in a little bit. But like I said, this documentary not only tells the Eagles story, but it also tells on the second disc, or the first disc goes from 71 to 80, which is when the Eagles broke up, and then the second disc, which I find kind of cool, goes from not only it kind of tells what the Eagles it touches on the Eagles' solo career, and it kind of tells the story of the run up to the Hell Freezes Over project, which we will be covering at a later date, and the last half of it kind of tells the story of the recording of Hotel California, and or not, it does, but The Long Road Out of Eden in 2007, and also on the first disc, interlaced, which is something else that I found cool. I think they are interlaced with the then present day, interlaced with the current interviews. They also there's also interview footage from 76, and from I believe backstage at the Capitol Theater, and which is something that I hadn't seen before. A lot of this footage, like the Capitol Theater footage, I had seen because there's a lot the live music video of Hotel California that had been on VH1 and MTV for years, I think, was taken from the the Capitol Theater concert footage. But um, the only criticism that I have about this documentary is that there is no footage of them recording the Hotel California album, because I would have loved to have seen that. And although there is quite a wealth of there are some photographs from that time period, and there is footage of Don Felder and Joe checking out guitars or whatever from that time period. But they oh, and on the second disc during the long run years there, I had seen there's a music video for I Can't Tell You Why from the long run, and you get to see, I think it was filmed during the actual recording of the song, but I had seen that, but you get to see more of that footage because there was more of that footage than was released for the actual music video. And on to the Eagles' solo career, and when they're touching on the Eagles' solo careers on the second half of the documentary, Don Henley talks about, he was signed to Geffen Records again, and David Geffen is well known in the music world to be kind of a butthead, for lack of a cleaner term. And when Don took David to court to get off Geffen Records for the second time, Geffen's lawyers deposed made Don's wife give a deposition, and she didn't even know anything. But the whole thing was sleazy because she has MS, and I just felt that was really, really low of Geffen to do, I mean, but like I said, he is well known in the rock world for being kind of a sleazy guy. But as a bonus disc to the documentary, the concert footage from the Capitol Theater from the Hotel California tour was released on a companion DVD, and the only qualm that I have about this DVD, the third DVD, is that it's not a whole show. It's just basically the 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 footage unencumbered by the interviews from the documentary, but it's nice to have. And one of the most touching parts of the documentary for me, I think, was when Walsh, when the Eagles got back together in '94, one of the caveats was that Joe would get sober. Because Walsh was known for years to be kind of a hard-living guy. And one of the caveats for the reunion was that Walsh gets sober. And so Don Felder and the Eagles manager, Irving Azoff, actually picked Joe up and helped him get into rehab. And to me, that is a mark of true friendship. And unfortunately, Don Felder was fired from the band in '99, and and he hasn't played with them ever since. And that's another criticism that I have about this whole thing or about the documentary, is that in the documentary, they treat Don Felder as kind of like the enemy, kind of like the asshole, kind of like the enemy of the band, and like they don't like him. And I see the Eagles were basically Don Henley and Glenn Fry, and no disrespect to both of them, because I like them both, saw the Eagles as their band that they're the leaders of, and which is for all intents and purposes true. But and I think they treated Don Felder rather shabbily, because he saw the band as a band, as a brotherhood, and Don and Glenn Fry saw it as like a business, and that's how they ran it. And I think they had made Joe, Randy, and Timothy, when he came in, they had made them kind of like partners in the corporation, and they kind of left Felder out in the cold, which I think was rather shabby of them. And but that's really the only criticisms I have of the documentary. And but overall, I give it 5 stars, and I hope you enjoy it. Coming up Friday, we will be taking a look at another documentary on the Ace Studio band, The Wrecking Crew, directed by Denny Tedesco. That's Friday. Hi, everybody. I forgot to mention the fact that Don Felder is also featured in the documentary, so his point of view is also heard from.